And welcome in, guys, to the Canadian Premier League Insight and Focus, and a little bit more than that, May 6th to 15th. This is red hot. Games are coming off tomorrow, that being Friday. If you get this in the morning or tomorrow, it'll be today, and that will be May 6th. Friday, May 6th, games coming through. We're going to get to that pretty soon. As you get to some of the pretty artwork that's coming your way pretty soon, remember a couple of things. Press pause to view the picture, and then press play, and I'll be right there waiting for you to tell you some more. The other thing is, I've got to say, coming on the end of this, I've got a lovely story about a Canadian soccer team. And also, that's all I'm going to say right now about that one. But it's a Canadian soccer team, it's historical, and I'm going to share that with you because there's a reason. And you'll get to hear that. So, getting into the Canadian Premier League. Right, this weekend, we've got a lot of games coming through. And I tell you, it's an interesting time for Canadian soccer, I've got to say that. The MLS always gets the attention, but it's always good to see the Canadian Premier League getting some. Anyway, getting to it. York United this weekend taking on the Forge at York Lions Stadium. That's going to be a meaty game, don't kid yourselves. Also, Edmonton and Cavalry at Clark Field, a place I've been. That's the Alberta, or the Battle of Alberta there. Edmonton taking on Cavalry. I've got a feeling Cavalry's got a chance at getting something there, but Edmonton's the home team. Anyhow, we'll see what happens there. On Saturday, we've got the VALOUR taking on Halifax Wanderers at IG Field, so it's going to be another meaty game. Halifax, can you get something? You never know. May 7th, Saturday as well, we got Atletico Ottawa taking on the Pacific. Do like what the Pacific bring top of the table right now, and that comes off at TD Place. Or TD Stadium, sorry, TD Place Stadium, I should say. Also, the Forge are taking on Atletico Ottawa May 14th, a week later, and that comes off at Tim Hortons Field. Forge normally bring a good game there, normally, probably will. Also, May 14th, a week later, remember, Pacific taking on Edmonton. You know, that's a game that I've been thinking about going to go to, so you never know. I may well be there. And on May 15th, Sunday, Halifax Wanderers taking on Cavalry. Go Halifax. That's going to be a tough one for the Cavalry. You're up in the air, you're down in the air, legs are a little tired. And then to finish off, May the 15th on Sunday, is the VALOUR taking on York United at IG Field. Could go either way. But to Mark Cavallo, Canadian fan out there, big up to you, Marco. Hope you're loving it. Taking a look at the standings now. Pacific on top, 5-3-1-1, 7-4-6 against, +1 on the goals, 10 points on the board. Closely in behind on 7 is Atletico Ottawa, 4-2-1-1, but you can see all this looking at it. What I'm saying at the end of the day is looking down at the bottom of the table, it's a Battle of Alberta this week. And both those teams need 3 points. Cavalry wins, they're up to 7, could be sliding up to 3rd or 4th. If Edmonton win, well, that could take them up to 5th or 6th by the end of proceedings over the next few games. But Albertan team's not doing too good. It seems that the Pacific is holding up the West in the league standings. But you've got to say, the Eastern clubs or Eastern-based clubs are doing pretty good. Take a look at the schedule. I'm not going to spend any time on that. Press pause, have a look, and again, press play. Join me as you can. Playoffs, there's a little bit of information for the playoffs. If you didn't know what the playoffs is and how you get there, yada yada, or what the inclination is to look at this and read it, the inclination is to understand which teams play who. So it's quite simple. Your top 4 teams face off 1-4, 3-2. The winners of those 2 games go for a 2-leg semi-final. The winners then will advance to the CPL final in a single match hosted by the team that's seeded higher. Seeded higher means best record. Now, looking at attendances for a second here. This is going over the last 4 years. Seasons 1-3, you can see what's going on there. And I'm going to highlight 2 clubs again, Edmonton and Cavalry. Now, look at Edmonton. 37.52 the average, Cavalry 34.63. Remember that. Everybody else is doing okay there. You know, remember, there's teams in the UK, teams in Europe, 2nd, 3rd, 4th tier teams that get these attendances. So these attendances are quite, I would say, inspiring. They really do send a good message that this league is catching fire. People are turning up, they're buying tickets, and if we continue to grow the numbers, it's a healthy thing. We're growing, but more on that at the end of this when I get back on camera with that story about a Canadian soccer team, and I will be back on camera very shortly. Now, looking at the averages now in season 4, just looking at Edmonton and Calgary, just for an example, Calgary now They were in the 3,000s. They're now 4,200. Okay, they've brought it up. Edmonton, they haven't really brought that up at all, hey? 678 average. Now, I know it's early days, and I know the league will support each other's teams and keep this floating. And we are, remember, a league that's just starting off. This is season 4, so we're still growing the product, still making it a brand. But Edmonton, for years and years and years, it's been a tough sell soccer there. I tell you now, I know personally after working for TSN 1260 for so long, and also other agencies there too, it's a tough sell to sell soccer in Edmonton, and those numbers do tell you what's going on. But again, Calgary seems to have got it right. Now, looking on the highest attendance, 62-13, that was Halifax Wanderers taking out Edmonton, or FC Edmonton, I should say, 3-1, April 30th. The lowest attendance was at Edmonton, and it was 600, and it was a 1-1 with York United, April 15th. See those numbers? They don't lie. They don't lie, people. Now, talking about a really smart move with the CPL, the kit manufacturing, it's all Macron. It's fantastic. It reminds me of when the MLS started, when it came back the second time. They all jumped in with Adidas and made the deal so simple. It actually made millions of shirt sales even sweeter for the brand of the MLS, Major League Soccer. But having one brand simplifies the whole thing. It's just like the draft system. It's way better than having to pay billions of dollars for people. That's a story I'll be bringing soon. But you got to say, Macron, the shirt, the kit, designers, manufacturers for all the teams. It's a brilliant idea. And I tell you what, I absolutely hold my hat off to the Canadian Premier League top shirt, because you got it smack on with that. Now, looking at the manufacturer, we know that that's Macron. But there's also other sponsors. Macron is also the sponsor for York United. So your kit manufacturer is your sponsor. That's an interesting one, isn't it, eh? Another one that's really interesting is One Soccer. They are the broadcaster of One Soccer, who broadcast the Canadian Premier League games. It's kind of strange that your broadcaster would be a sponsor on a team shirt. I'm just saying, it doesn't normally happen like that. And, you know, if you're going to sponsor one, you got to sponsor all. And to end off here, next show coming up, we're going to do a preliminary round. And literally, I'm going to be predicting the games coming through. It's the Canadian Championship 2022. I'm going to let you know what I'm thinking. But at the end of the day, it's happening again. And Vancouver Whitecaps, better watch out. Better not slip up. No more big banana skins this year. We remember last year for sure. And also, let's not forget that winners of this, they get a date in CONCACAF Champions League. So it's a massive thing to play for. And you could eventually end up with the FIFA Club World Cup. That's a stretch. But, hey, you never know. When you consider Seattle Sounders just won CONCACAF Champions League, you never know. Big up to those. But this is more so Canadian Premier League, what we're doing. But you have to say respect. But there you go, guys. I'll be coming back on camera now with what I would say is a Canadian soccer story that you've never heard. Unless you live in